going on, DJbooth.net? This is Kareem Julian, also known as DJ Blaze, and I'm here in the lab to give you guys a full rundown video review of the new DJ Tech Dragon 2 digital DJ controller. Alright everyone, so here it is. This is the new DJ Tech Dragon 2 digital DJ controller and standalone mixer. And first up, we're just going to talk about the overall first impressions and the setup for first impressions. You have a very solid digital DJ controller here. It's in a 2-channel configuration, but there are switches and buttons here so you can make it a 4-deck DJ controller. It's made of mostly metal. All of your knobs are nice and big and oversized, and you have nice buttons. All your buttons have a backlight to them so that you know at a glance exactly what's pressed or what's enacted and enabled. And there is also a very nice mapping to Virtual DJ, which comes with the unit, Virtual DJ LE, but you have your buttons and knobs configured in such a way to where they match up very nicely with the Virtual DJ platform. You also have a standalone mixer function here on the unit. The standalone mixer has 2 RCA inputs in the back, one for your left and one for your right, and they can be used at any time, and they work as advertised. And those same inputs on the back are also used to correspond to the sound card within the Dragon 2, so you can add your vinyl or CD decks externally, and you can actually use the internal sound card in order to use the DVS function of the unit. So you can actually have DVS playback on your external decks if you just simply plug them into the RCAs on the back of the unit and turn on your sound card, plug it into Virtual DJ Professional. You do have to upgrade to Virtual DJ Pro in order to do this, but once you do, you throw your timecode CDs or your timecode vinyls right onto your decks and you're ready to go. So moving on to the setup is fairly easy. If you're using a Windows machine, all you have to do is use the supplied CD to load the ASIO drivers, and after you load the drivers, you'll be able to load Virtual DJ LE. If you're on a Mac, you just automatically plug it in. It'll read what controller it is, and you'll be ready to go with just loading in the Virtual DJ LE software. So you are getting Virtual DJ LE. It's not a full-featured software, but you do get a healthy number of effects. You still get your 4 hot cues per deck. You get your 4 sample banks that can be used at any time. Your 2 effects per deck are here. Your FX for this side is here. Your FX for this side is here. And you also have all of your normal in and out loop functions, your loop grow or shorten knob. And you also have your filter knobs here that also work in standalone mixer mode as well. So setup is fairly easy. Now we'll take a look at the inputs and outputs. Okay, next up we're going to look at what's on the front and rear panels of the DJ Tech Dragon 2, which basically covers the inputs and outputs and a few other controls on the front and back. So from left to right, we have a small plastic clip for putting your power cord through so that way it can't get snagged. You have your DC adapter input here, and you must use this DC input in order to run your Dragon 2. You can't just use your USB connection only. You must have it plugged in. But that's a good thing because the power of the outputs of the headphones will all be at a very good level, and your booth output master at the same time can also function nicely, and you have very nice bright lights on your controller so you can see everything very well. You have your power switch on and off button. You also have your USB MIDI cable connection here. You have your touch sensor knobs, each for each side of your DJ controller. You can change the jog wheel touch sense, so that way either you can make it to where you can't even have any adjustment at all, meaning anytime you touch it, it won't have any effect, or you can have it to when you just lightly touch it, you'll have a great effect. So you can adjust that here with the knobs. You have your balanced XLR output, your master output, and the booth output in RCA flavor. They both have their own individual volume control knobs. And then you have an input 1 and input 2 line or phono switchable. So And these are available to mix with right out of the box. You don't need to upgrade to anything. You can just mix directly through this unit. It's a standalone mixer, and it will function greatly as such. And everything works as it should in that category. You also have a Kensington lock here, all the way over to your right. So on the front of the unit, you have your mic controls and your microphone input. It's only the 1/4 inch style. You have a EQ knob, which is actually just a tone knob for low and high adjustments. You have your volume control also here as well, nice metal knobs. Then you have your talk over on, off, or talk over switch, so you can turn your mic off, turn it on, or turn it to talk over, which lowers the volume of your music so that you can mix. USB audio mode, you can either be in 4-deck mode or 2-deck mode. That way you can run it either in 2 decks or 4 decks depending on what you're using it for. And you also have your crossfader MIDI switch. This will turn your crossfader MIDI on or off. Off means that you're just going to use it as an analog mixer, and on means you're going to use it with software. You have your crossfader curve adjustment knob here, and your low-high EQ knob for your headphones. That's pretty good to have. Most units don't have that. You can adjust your actual EQ settings of your headphones, and you get a mini and a 1/4 inch flavor jacks here as well. Okay, now that you guys took a look at the inputs and outputs and controls on the front and rear of the unit, now we'll take a look at the actual faders and the mixing console portion of the unit. And here we have the same basic fader that came out of the DJM 303. We reviewed that mixer. It was a very good mixer by DJ Tech, and the fader feels very good on the Dragon 2 as well. It feels like it's the same fader, not exactly sure if it is, but you can look down in there and you can see that it's metal based, and it's very smooth and very accurate. You will be able to do all of your scratches on this crossfader here, as you can set the crossfader curve control, which we showed you earlier, on the front knob of the unit. And the cut-in distance is very small. It's about 1 to 1.5 millimeters. And I was able to do all the crab scratching and all the other scratching that we needed to do with rigorous movements of the fader. The line faders feel a bit more plasticky, a little bit more resistance to them. You have your UV meters here for your line levels. Your left and right is the master, and then you also have separate channel 1 and channel 2 meters on the outside, so that way when you're fading in your live decks or even your software decks that don't have an auto gain on them, you'll be able to see the levels here and make sure you're matching them up appropriately. You do have gain knobs all the way at the top though for when you want to use them. You have your 3-band EQ with full kill, and you also have your filter knobs here. The filter knobs have a rubbery coating to them. The rest of them have a hard plastic coating, but your filter knobs actually do have a rubber coating, and makes them very nice and easy to use. Up top you have your browse and load buttons and controls here, as well as your push button browse feature in order to go from track to track or from area to area within the virtual DJ LE software. You also have your Q buttons here. Your Q buttons will correspond to your Q mix knob, which is up here. You can either listen to what's in your Q section for your decks, or you can listen to more what's in your master, or you can do a mix of both for when you're mixing and fading. You also have your headphone volume control knob up top, your booth volume control knob up top, and your master volume control knob up top as well. These are all rubber coated. These as well are rubber coated on the left side. So moving right along, we'll go to the actual decks now. The decks are found on each side of the mixing portion of the console. And right at the bottom you see we have these lovely pads here. You get 12 pads in total that are below the actual jog wheel. And here you have your shift, your Q play, your Q, and your play pause button, along with your sync button up here with your in, out, and re-loop for setting your loop points. And then you also have your 4 hot cue controls here that you can use on the fly. These buttons feel very, very nice. I'd say they rival the buttons found on the F1 or your buttons found on the VCI 380 or even the Twitch Novation Twitch controller. They feel very good. They're very inviting. Makes you really want to use them, and they're very accurate to perform with. So very nice buttons, and I'm happy to see that they have all of their buttons are the same style. A lot of times you see controllers out there that have different style buttons for your in and out or your loop controls than for your actual hot cues or your transport control. So DJ Tech did a good job with the Dragon 2, and they said, why not just make all the buttons the same, and they can be here on the bottom, and you can also map these to different things within other DJ software or within Virtual DJ LE. That way making it easy to perform with these type of pads for whatever function you guys see fit. Next up, we have the pitch slider here. Pitch slider feels very nice, has a good resistance to it, and it does have a center click, but it does a good job of riding the pitch, and you guys shouldn't have any problem beat matching with this unit. You have your pitch bend buttons underneath the actual slider here. They work as advertised. These are the only buttons that do not illuminate on the unit. Next up, we have your jog wheels. The jog wheels are pretty good in resolution. They're completely solid. They don't have any wobbles or shakes to them. They're completely hard plastic. The top has a grippy type of feel to it. It's not rubber or anything, but it's just a little bit more textured, so that way you can scratch and you can manipulate. You have a scratch mode where you can touch down and manipulate the song in scratch mode, or when the scratch mode is off, you'll be able to just pitch blend and bend in order to slow down or speed up the track in order to get your perfect mix. In practice, the jog wheels are not a perfect one-to-one operation, meaning when you're doing your fast back and forth scratches or your fast rigorous movements, there is a minor delay there. It's not really crazy, and it's not something that will hamper you playing back or doing your real sets. But if you're really buying this machine to do more scratching or to have like a really tight integration with your jog wheel, then it's probably not the one for you. There are other solutions out there that do have a slightly tighter jog wheel map, but the jog wheels are efficient enough for mixing, general baby scratching and scratching here or there, but nothing over the top like a hip hop or a turntables DJ would do, of course. Next up, you have these cool knobs with encoders. They have an LED ring around them, and this is used for growing and shortening your loops, and they are also used for other functions as well, like some of your effects parameters can be adjusted here, and it's cool to see the actual ring of LEDs go around the actual unit, so that the button, so that way you can see exactly where you are in your levels. Next up, you have your sampler and effects section up top. The first two knobs all the way to your left are your effects for deck A and C, and your knobs all the way to the right here are for decks B and D. These are your two effects at a time that you can enact per deck. Just as in the Virtual DJ LE software, everything is matched up nicely. You have your 4 sample banks here. These play over the top of your whole entire set, so they're good for one shot and for playing maybe a loop sample, but that's about it. They're not really in depth. There's no crazy things that you can do like beat match or sync them. You can just simply press them on and off and play them in one shot mode. But you have 4 there to choose from. Comes with some loaded ones already, but you might want to change those for something that you'll probably actually use. So that's basically it in a nutshell. In conclusion, the DJ Tech Dragon 2 is a nice, solid, compact, well-built unit by DJ Tech. You have a good crossfader. You have these nice transport controls and cue point controls, and your loop controls are all the same type of pad button, and they feel very accurate, very nice to use. You have a nice EQ here that also corresponds with the filter knobs, and you also have your external inputs to where you can use this as a standalone mixer right out of the box. You don't need any type of upgrades to do that, but you do, however, need to upgrade to get more effects. You do need to upgrade the software in order to use the digital time code decks and plug in your your CDs or your vinyl decks directly into the inputs, and you can use those with time code playback, but you can only do that if you do upgrade to Virtual DJ Professional Edition. It is a $300 charge, but once you buy Virtual DJ Professional, you don't have to buy it again. You get free updates for life. So that was one of my minor gripes, is that you don't get a full software with the unit. And the other minor gripe was that the jog wheels are not an exact one-to-one mapping, but if you're buying a DJ controller, chances are you probably won't use that feature anyway. And if you do really want to scratch, this crossfader is very worthy of it, And if you put it into the standalone mixer mode and you've got your external decks, then you can do all the scratches you want with this fader, as it is a pretty good fader right out of the box. So we're going to go ahead and recommend this controller for those who really want to use Virtual DJ. Even though you can map it to other software out there, this is really a Virtual DJ controller. There's a lot of buttons and a lot of different controls that just correspond really nicely to Virtual DJ. So we're going to recommend this to users who want to use this with Virtual DJ. They also need a standalone mixer right out of the box. They want to plug in their external decks. And it's also good for users who want to use a combination of DVS control, because you have your internal sound card that can automatically spit out your digital vinyl signal for your timecode vinyl or your timecode CD decks, and it's nice and compact for DJs who are on the go. So what you got here is a nice controller all around, good performer, and it will work for you in a jam, and especially if you want to use Virtual DJ LE or Professional. So more on the full written review, head on over to www.djbooth.net/DJS. You can also keep subscribing to the YouTube channel, which is Real DJ Blaze. And you can also follow me on Twitter. That way you get all these news, updates, and reviews as soon as they drop. That's at DJBlaze_DJBooth. Thanks for watching.